Have you ever wondered why your retirement income feels thinner than expected, even when you've saved diligently, planned responsibly, and thought you did everything right? Why does your check seem to shrink faster than it should? Why does the comfort you imagined for your golden years feel harder to reach each month? Is it only inflation, or is there something else, quietly draining your financial security? This is where many seniors are caught by surprise. Sometimes it isn't what you aren't doing, it's what you are doing with total trust, without realizing the hidden danger. For decades, you've been told certain financial rules are unshakable. You've been reassured that pensions are safe, predictable, and reliable. But the truth is, millions of seniors fall into subtle traps every day by relying on old assumptions that no longer hold up. The results? Shrinking monthly checks, lost opportunities, and unnecessary stress in retirement. You see, while pensions and retirement plans are meant to be a steady lifeline, not everything you've been told about them is accurate. In fact, some of the most common facts are actually myths that can reduce your income, slash your savings, and leave you feeling powerless when you should be enjoying freedom. This may sound unsettling, but here's the silver lining. Once you know what these myths are, you can protect yourself, adjust wisely, and reclaim money that's rightfully yours. Think of it this way. Financial health changes as we age, just like our bodies do. Markets shift, policies evolve, and what used to be sound advice decades ago may now be quietly hurting your income. Believing outdated pension myths can result in smaller payouts, higher taxes, and fewer choices. Worse still, the effects often creep in slowly and invisibly, until one day you wake up and realize your retirement lifestyle is tighter, restricted, and less secure than you imagined. Today, I'm going to reveal the 7 most dangerous pension myths that people over 60 should stop trusting immediately. These aren't harmless misunderstandings. They are silent financial leaks that can drain your monthly income and erode the independence you worked so hard to achieve. Once you see the truth, you'll never look at your pension plan the same way again. So, if you care about protecting your money, securing your future, and making sure you don't outlive your income, stay with me until the end. This could be the wake-up call your finances have been waiting for. But before we dive in, pause for a moment. If you're concerned about your financial security in retirement, make sure you click subscribe and turn on notifications. We share insights here that most people never hear about. Secrets that could keep thousands of dollars in your pocket, instead of slipping through your hands. And while you're watching, I want to hear from you. If this message resonates with you already, type 1 in the comments section. If you're skeptical, type 6. You don't realize how powerful your voice is in this community. Now let's begin with the first pension myth. This one is repeated so often that it feels like common sense. But the reality is, it may be the most costly assumption you can make in retirement. Let's talk about the belief that your pension is guaranteed forever. This is one of the most dangerous illusions seniors carry. Pensions are often advertised as rock-solid, unshakable, and protected for life. But here's the truth. While many pensions are backed by promises, those promises depend on the health of the plan, the solvency of the company, and sometimes even government intervention. And history shows us that promises can break. Entire pension systems have been restructured, reduced, or frozen. Companies have gone bankrupt. States have changed rules, and retirees who trusted blindly were left with less than half of what they expected. The subtle danger here is not that every pension will collapse, but that the word guaranteed hides important details. For example, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, PBGC in the US, does insure pensions, but only up to certain limits. If your promised income is above those limits, you could lose a significant chunk. Some private pensions offer no federal backstop at all. And if your plan is underfunded, those guaranteed checks can be reduced. Imagine the sinking feeling of budgeting your retirement around a monthly payment, only to discover years later that it's been cut by 20% or more. Many seniors chalk it up to bad luck, but often it comes from ignoring warning signs that the guarantee wasn't absolute. The painful truth is, treating pensions as indestructible can leave you overconfident, unprepared, and vulnerable. So what can you do? First, stop assuming the word guaranteed means unshakable. Request the funding status of your plan. Understand whether your pension is backed by PBGC or another safety net, and to what extent. Diversify your retirement income so that no single cut can devastate your lifestyle. This isn't about panic, it's about protection. Now, if something as sacred as a guarantee can be misleading, what about the myths that seem smaller, more innocent, and even reassuring? That's where the second pension myth comes in. It's a belief that looks like wisdom, but can actually slash your income slowly over time. And it's probably one you've heard since you were young. Many retirees hold on to a comforting belief, the idea that once you start taking pension payments, it's best to take them as early as possible. The reasoning sounds logical. Why wait when you can begin enjoying your money right away? After all, life is short, and you worked hard for those benefits. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Rushing into your pension payout too soon can quietly slash your income for the rest of your life. Think about this for a moment. Every year you delay, the payout amount often increases, yet many seniors, out of fear that they'll lose their money if they wait, lock themselves into smaller checks forever. This is the second great myth, that claiming early is always the smart move. For some people with health issues or special circumstances, it may make sense, but for many others, this choice robs them of tens of thousands of dollars over the span of their retirement. Here's why this happens. Pension plans and retirement systems are designed with actuarial math. They reward patience and punish haste. Taking your payout early typically reduces the monthly payment permanently, sometimes by 20%, and once that lower number is set, there's no going back. You can't renegotiate with the plan years later. What you thought was a smart move turns into a lifetime penalty. Seniors often say, "But I might not live long enough to see the benefit of waiting." That thought is powerful because it plays on fear. Yet statistically, people today are living longer than previous generations. If you live past your mid-70s, claiming early often becomes a costly mistake. Imagine the difference between a $1,200 monthly check and a $1,600 check. That $400 difference may not seem huge at first, but stretched over 15 or 20 years, it can add up to more than $70,000 lost. This is the invisible trap. By claiming early, you think you're getting ahead, but instead, you're quietly draining your financial security. You may not notice it right away. The loss is subtle at first, hidden in slightly tighter budgets or smaller cushions for emergency. But over time, the gap widens, and you may find yourself wondering why your money doesn't stretch as far as it used to. It's not just about the size of the checks either. Taking early benefits can impact your taxes, your eligibility for other programs, and even the way your spouse or survivors are supported after you're gone. What looks like a personal decision can ripple outward into lasting financial consequences for your loved one. The hardest part is that most seniors don't realize the danger until it's too late. They take the early payout, breathe a sigh of relief, and only years later, recognize the permanent loss. The myth is powerful because it feels safe. It feels proactive, but safety isn't always what it seems. In this case, it can be an illusion that locks you into less income for life. So what can you do instead? The first step is to analyze your personal health, life expectancy, and financial needs realistically. Don't rely on fear or impatience. If you are healthy and expect to live into your late 70s or beyond, waiting could be the smarter play. Look at the break-even point, the age where waiting pays off, and see how it aligns with your situation. For many people, patience means protection. And remember, there are ways to bridge the gap if you want to delay. Maybe you use savings for a few years, or part-time work, or even tap a smaller account temporarily. That short-term adjustment could unlock years of higher income and more freedom down the line. It's not just about survival money. It's about maximizing your dignity, choices, and independence for as long as possible. Now, if claiming early can backfire this severely, what about the opposite assumption that once you've chosen your payout option, you've chosen the best and only option? That's where the third pension myth creeps in. And it's even trickier because it hides inside paperwork, small print, and a decision that most people never revisit. It's the belief that the payout option you pick initially is automatically the best for your future. Let's unpack that. When you retire, you're often given choices: a single life annuity, a joint and survivor option, or a lump sum payout. Each one sounds reasonable in the moment. The single life option usually offers the highest monthly income. The joint and survivor option protects your spouse, but reduces your check. The lump sum promises flexibility and control. Many seniors eager for maximum income or attracted by one appealing feature make a snap decision. They think, this is set in stone, it must be the best. But here's the problem. The choice you make shapes your financial future for decades, and picking wrong can quietly cost you security. For example, choosing a single life annuity might give you more money today. But what happens if you pass sooner than expected? Your spouse could be left with nothing, forced to downsize, or struggling to cover medical costs. On the other hand, picking joint and survivor might feel safe, but could mean decades of receiving less money than you truly needed during your most active years of retirement. The lump sum option is perhaps the most dangerous illusion of all. On paper, it looks empowering. You get a large amount of money up front, but with that freedom comes enormous risk. Poor investment choices, scams, or simply outliving the lump sum. Many seniors who thought they were being clever by taking control end up with dwindling balances and regret. What makes this myth dangerous is not just the initial choice, but the belief that once you've picked, you're locked into the best outcome. In truth, the best option depends on your health, your family's needs, your tax situation, and even inflation rates. It's not about which one sounds good today. It's about which one aligns with your long-term future. The reality is that many people never get unbiased advice on these options. They rely on a friend's story, a company HR representative, or their gut feeling. Years later, they discover the unintended consequences. By then, it's too late. The checks keep coming, but they're either too small, too risky, or insufficient for the challenges ahead. So before you choose, or if you've already chosen, seek clarity. Understand how each option affects not just you but your spouse, your taxes, and your future needs. Don't fall for the myth that the option that looks best now will automatically be best later. Time changes everything, and your financial plan needs to anticipate that. You can see how subtle these traps are. The first myth made you believe pensions were untouchable. The second convinced you to grab money early, locking you into smaller income. The third tricks you into assuming your payout choice is automatically perfect. Each one sounds comforting, but each one can take away financial freedom if left unchallenged. And if these first three myths are this misleading, imagine what the next ones are doing. The fourth myth is perhaps the most widespread of all. It's a belief repeated by financial companies, whispered by peers, and assumed by retirees everywhere. It involves taxes, and how they quietly reduce your pension income without you realizing the damage. Would you like me to continue with part 3, where I unpack that next myth in the same style? One of the most quietly damaging beliefs about pensions is the idea that taxes don't really matter, or that they'll somehow be minimal in retirement. This is the fourth myth, and it's costing seniors thousands of dollars every single year, without them realizing it. For decades, you've probably heard that once you retire, your taxes will naturally drop, because you'll be earning less. It sounds reassuring, but the reality is very different for many retirees. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Pensions are typically taxed as ordinary income. That means every monthly payment you receive can be treated just like a paycheck in the eyes of the IRS. And if you have other income streams, Social Security, part-time work, withdrawals from retirement accounts, those can push you into higher tax brackets, where a big slice of your pension goes straight to the government. The result is that what looks like a steady, predictable income on paper often shrinks dramatically once taxes are taken out. The myth persists because many people underestimate how much taxable income they'll have in retirement. They assume that without a salary, their tax bill will drop. But pensions, combined with required minimum distributions from 401ks and IRAs, can add up quickly. Suddenly, a retiree who expected to be in a low bracket finds themselves paying That's not a small haircut. That's thousands of dollars that could have gone toward travel, healthcare, or helping grandkids with college. The real sting comes from how invisible this trap feels. You see the gross pension number on your statements, and it looks comforting. But then each month, the net deposit into your account is smaller than expected. Year after year, that difference compounds. Over a decade, you might lose $50,000 or more to taxes you never planned for. And if state taxes apply as well, the bite is even harsher. So how do you protect yourself? The first step is awareness. Stop assuming retirement automatically equals lower taxes. Map out your entire income picture: pension, Social Security, retirement accounts, even investments. See where those put you on the tax bracket. From there, look for strategies. Maybe you spread withdrawals across different accounts, delay Social Security to reduce overlap, or use Roth conversions strategically. This isn't about gaming the system. It's about making sure you're not blindsided by tax bills that quietly bleed your pension dry. Now, if taxes can be this damaging, there's another myth that cuts just as deep. The fifth myth is the belief that inflation isn't a real threat to pension. Many retirees assume that once their monthly check starts, the amount will always feel sufficient. After all, $1,000 today feels like $1,000 tomorrow. But this is where reality stings hardest. Inflation silently erodes the buying power of your pension year after year. Here's how it works. If your pension does not have a cost of living adjustment, COLA, your check stays the same while prices around you rise. That $2,000 monthly benefit that feels comfortable at 65 might feel painfully tight at 75, and nearly impossible at even low inflation rates compounded over a decade or two can cut your purchasing power in half. And in times of high inflation, like we've seen recently, the damage accelerates faster than anyone expects. The cruel part is that this erosion is almost invisible in the short term. 1 year, you hardly notice. Groceries are a bit more, utilities creep higher. Maybe you cut back a little on dining out. But over a decade, the pinch becomes a squeeze. Suddenly, the pension that was supposed to cover everything doesn't even meet your basic needs. The myth that pensions are stable ignores the reality that prices never stay still. Seniors often say, "But I have Social Security and that adjusts for inflation." True, but those adjustments often lag behind real cost increases, especially for healthcare and housing. If your pension doesn't rise with inflation, you are left covering a widening gap. That's why so many retirees find themselves dipping into savings earlier than planned, accelerating the risk of running out of money. What's the solution? Don't rely on a fixed number to stay fixed in value. If your pension doesn't include COLA, plan additional income sources that can grow, investments, side income, or even annuities with inflation riders. Budget conservatively, assuming your pension's buying power will decline. This isn't pessimism, it's realism, and it's how you avoid being blindsided in your later years. Now let's talk about the sixth myth, one that feels comforting but is dangerously misleading. It's the belief that your employer or plan administrator always has your best interests in mind. Seniors often assume that because the pension was offered as part of their career benefits, the company or organization must be managing it carefully and looking out for retirees. But history tells us a harsher story. Companies underfund pensions. Governments restructure them. Employers make decisions to protect their own financial survival, not yours. Entire industries have seen pensions slashed, frozen, or converted into lump sums that shifted the risk onto retirees. Even well-meaning administrators may lack transparency, leaving you in the dark about funding levels, solvency risks, or changes in plan rules. The most dangerous aspect of this myth is trust without verification. Believing they'll take care of it leads retirees to stop asking questions, stop monitoring, and stop preparing backup plans. Then when cuts or changes come, the shock is devastating. Imagine being 75, living comfortably on your pension, and suddenly receiving a letter that your benefits are reduced by 20%. It has happened before, and it will happen again. What should you do? Request annual reports about your plan's funding status. Ask questions if the numbers look weak. Diversify your retirement income so that no single entity controls your future. Blind trust is not a retirement strategy. It's a gamble, and the odds are not always in your favor. These myths about taxes, inflation, and employer trust are especially cruel because they lull you into a false sense of security. They whisper that everything is fine, when in reality your income is being chipped away year after year. But there is one final myth, the seventh, that may be the most paralyzing of all. It's the belief that once you're retired it's too late to make changes. This myth convinces seniors to stay stuck, to surrender, and to believe their financial destiny is sealed. And that's where I'll take you next, because breaking that final myth could be the key to reclaiming control over your income, no matter your age. Perhaps the most dangerous myth of all is the one that whispers into the ears of seniors everywhere. It's too late to change anything. This belief is paralyzing. It convinces people to accept less, to stop searching for answers, and to quietly endure financial stress as though it were an unavoidable part of aging. But this myth, the seventh pension myth, is nothing more than a lie that keeps you stuck. The truth is, no matter your age, you can still make adjustments that protect and even grow your retirement income. Maybe you can't go back in time to change when you started your pension or the payout option you chose, but there are always steps you can take today. Tax strategies, budgeting shifts, investment adjustments, or even part-time income opportunities can all create meaningful changes. Small moves add up. Yet so many seniors believe their financial future is frozen in place, and because of that belief, they don't take the actions that could bring relief. Why does this myth persist? Because fear makes it feel real. Fear of making a mistake. Fear of admitting past choices weren't perfect. Fear that change itself might be risky. And financial companies often reinforce it by treating seniors as if they're fragile or incapable of adapting. But history is full of people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who made smart, deliberate adjustments that gave them more freedom. The myth that it's too late robs you not of money, but of hope. Consider this. If you discover your pension doesn't have a cost of living adjustment, you can build inflation protection by adjusting your investment. If you realize you claimed benefits too early, you can strengthen your finances by cutting unnecessary costs, earning side income, or optimizing taxes. If you see that your plan isn't as guaranteed as you once thought, you can diversify your income sources now to reduce the risk of sudden cuts. None of these actions require a time machine. They require awareness and the courage to act today. This is the empowering truth hidden behind the fear. Every choice you make now has ripple effects for your future. And while you may not completely erase the past, you can absolutely shape what's ahead. Retirement is not about surrendering control. It's about reclaiming it in smarter, sharper ways. So let's pull everything together. The first myth told you pensions are guaranteed forever. The second convinced you to grab your payout too early. The third made you believe your payout option was automatically perfect. The fourth tricked you into thinking taxes wouldn't matter. The fifth lulled you into ignoring inflation. The sixth pushed you to trust blindly in your employer or plan. And the seventh, the cruelest of all, whispered that it's too late to change. Each myth on its own can chip away at your security. Together, they can slash your income, shrink your independence, and drain your peace of mind. But now, you know the truth. And knowing is the first step toward power. You can see the hidden leaks in your financial plan. You can question what you were told. You can make deliberate, informed choices instead of following outdated assumptions. This is how you stop money from slipping through your fingers. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up tomorrow with the confidence that your income is safe, strong, and working for you instead of against you. Imagine the relief of knowing you're not blindly trusting promises but actively protecting your future. That sense of control, that peace of mind, is worth more than any single check. It's the foundation of a secure retirement. And here's something I want you to carry with you. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. Every day you have the ability to adjust, to choose, and to fight for the security you deserve. Whether you're 61 or 81, your financial story is still being written. It's not over, and the smartest chapters can still lie ahead if you're willing to take action. So let me ask you this. What have you learned from these 7 myths? Which one spoke to you the loudest? Was it the false comfort of guarantees, the temptation of claiming early, the slow erosion of inflation, or the fear of change? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Type 1 if you're ready to take control of your pension and stop these myths from draining your income. Type 0 if you feel uncertain but want to learn more. Your voice matters more than you realize, because the conversation we create here helps others break free from the same trap. And before you leave, remember to like this video and subscribe. We share truths here that most people never talk about. Secrets that can mean the difference between struggling and thriving in retirement. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next insight that could save you thousands. You've worked your entire life for the income you have now. Don't let myths steal it from you. Stand guard over your money. Protect your independence, and stay watchful. The choices you make today will carry you forward into a future of greater security, freedom, and peace. And no matter what anyone has told you, it is never too late to take control.